I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and grief. I was going downhill fast.
Ketamine's use as a transformer of mood was only discovered in the late 90s, and people were very incredulous. It's an anesthetic. How could it have anything to do with mood?
What is actually happening in the brain when a person takes this drug?
I'm always a little nervous before the injection because I know I have no control over what my mind is going to think about it. The trauma that I'm dealing with is basically unthinkable, but I've lost both of my children to suicide. My youngest son, Dylan, knew that his life mattered, that he mattered, that he had a voice. And unfortunately, his impulsive nature caused him to go in and shoot himself and end his life. When I found him, I screamed uncontrollably. What I saw, nobody should see. I ran out of the house and then ran back in to make sure he wasn't still alive, even though that's physically impossible based on what I looked at. I hired a grief counselor immediately. I hired the best post-traumatic stress disorder counselor I could find. And I did pull myself out of it. I did re-engage. And I had an older son who still lived with his mom. And I worried about him because he didn't go to counseling. And he held things in, he didn't share, but he kept saying he was fine. And we were about to go to the Edmonton Oilers playoff game with my dad and my sister because I really believed in trying to unite the family, start having us live our lives again. That was my obligation to others, friends and family. And my son. My son was clearly depressed, but he denied it. The day before he was supposed to go back to see his mother, he called me on a bike ride to tell me that he loved me and I knew something was wrong. When he asked me how long I was going to be, it reminded me of my other son when he asked me the same question. When I got home a year ago, about today, I found my other son dead of a gunshot wound. Needless to say, I fell apart. I brought in spiritual leaders. I brought in other counselors. Any ideas that people had that could help me get a grip on my life, because for the first 4 months, I didn't care if I was alive. I didn't care if I died. I didn't think it mattered. I had no hope. I had no purpose. It was empty without my kids. I first went to some grief recovery centers. I went to a brain scanning clinic. I signed up with an EMDR specialist. I was severely depressed, trying to get out of it, and I wanted to try to make some progress on my own before I came to do the ketamine. And I wanted to get through Christmas. Having lost one son and knowing the worst date is Christmas, not the birth date, not the anniversary date. That Christmas is the worst date if you've lost a child. And I knew I had that coming, and I didn't want to be doing this or have just done it and then get whacked again. So I knew to get through Christmas. If I could get through Christmas, early January, I'm flying back into LA and I'm going to come and spend 2 weeks and do this treatment. And I got through Christmas, and I made it here.
It's known as Special K, a psychedelic drug popular in dance clubs, but doctors say this same drug, ketamine, approved as animal tranquilizer and anesthetic, can also be a lifesaver when used to treat severe depression when nothing else works. One small study found ketamine decreased suicidal thoughts almost immediately in 50% of patients. Most antidepressants take weeks.
Tom was pretty troubled when he came to us. He was not dealing at all well. Tom really was blaming himself a lot for that and was suffering a great deal of guilt and remorse, pretty unsure about whether he wanted to continue living. He had a very rough and contentious first infusion. By the day after his second infusion, he was really just singing the praises of the treatment. Ketamine was found to be profoundly effective anesthetic, given as a lump or bolus. It was only when people began to give it in a very gradual way and at sub-anesthetic doses that we realized what an amazing mood elevator and reverser of suicidality it is. Starts a chain reaction that actually causes new growth in connections in the brain and in receptor density among those connections. The patient who has an infusion experiences a dissociative state, does not have true hallucinations. He may see things that aren't there, but he knows that they're not there. Dissociation can be very mild, like when you're waiting to pay at the grocery store and you're thinking about what you're going to do tonight. Your mind and body are sort of separate.
A lot of patients tell us that they're able to do really important internal work while they're having an infusion. It can be really therapeutic for them to have a really objective perspective on their life. And this dissociation that Dr. Manel is talking about, of course, it's very important. We're big advocates of talk therapy and for them to work through some of these things with a professional.
It's a treatment. It's not a cure. It will not stand alone.
For me, I'm always a little nervous before the injection because I know I have no control over what my mind is going to think about. It can go from very pleasant to very scary. I know at the end, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to say it's an out-of-body experience. I'm present watching myself, but it's not in a dimension that I can explain. They actually let me know that I matter, that I am good enough. They gave me tools to discuss with my conventional psychologist. I had moments of emotional pain from my loss, and I understood why somebody would want to take their life. And for whatever reason, something changed in me that made me go from I don't care if I live to I don't want to die. And now because of these treatments, I can now go out and share my story and let people know that life is worth living. That as bad as it gets, as painful it gets, we do have a choice and we have freedom to make that choice. But I can go out and help other people, possibly. And whether I'm successful or not doesn't matter. I'm at least going to try to do that. I'm going to try to give back what this clinic's given me. My life.